My voice is muffled by the sounds of my city weeping. I am not ready to inherit the trauma of my town, the rio too empty for me to drink from. I am ready to run.
There is nowhere for me to lay my body. To rest would be to drop my home on its head. My children aren't listening. I pull them as close to me as possible, and they just push away. I am trying to paint a picture for the young. Each brushstroke, a new chance to show their brightness.
My bike was stolen. The little white frame with the pink tassels, now only a ghost on my front porch. I am scared this is all my birthplace has left for me, ghosts.
The Sandias are getting almost as tired of watching our city as I am. I want to share our history. Instead, they are showing me how fast they can tear it down.
I am told to sit still in class. How am I supposed to sit still with not even enough books set in front of me, watching the paint slowly drip off my classroom walls? So instead, I learned to count in the dirt, somewhere between the bosque and the sandias.
I am trying my hardest to teach them to make more books, but they reject my stories. The way we look at problems shapes the way we look at possible solutions. Though Sophie and I are decades apart, poetry and mindfulness have helped shape a relationship where age doesn't matter. And we have a shared vision for the future we'd like to see in New Mexico. We'd like to see the arts of poetry and mindfulness be used more intentionally for community building, particularly for intergenerational mentorships.
Poetry and mindful practices activate our senses. They help us open up new perspectives and design unconventional methods for responding to challenges that face not only young and old, but New Mexicans of every stripe.
When we are more mindful, it's easier to see that what happens to one of us happens to all of us. Mindfulness helps bridge differences.
And poetry helps us express our shared human experiences. At 12 years old, I was diagnosed with anxiety. I was prescribed a slew of medication and convinced my young self that I had to alter my chemical makeup in order to ever feel emotionally sound again. This terrified me. At 14 years old, as day-to-day life became more tumultuous, and I was entering my sophomore year, I was diagnosed with PTSD, and the allure to prescription medications increased. But I refused my doctor's propositions for Xanax and Prozac. It's not because I believed that medication is for the weak or helpless. It was because deep down, I knew I was equipped with all the tools I needed to change my own perception of a damaged or sick self. So at 14, I sat knee to knee in a youth leadership training course with Sidni. Her peaceful and calming demeanor gave me something to aspire to. I decided to look my anxiety straight in the eye, and I found my art. My art is poetry. I needed an art that would reflect not only myself, but my community and its struggles. Because New Mexico youth are not broken. We're not hopeless. We are amazing. We are bright and we are powerful. And we have all the tools. And we have all the tools we need to instill the power to heal from the inside out.
For years, I worked in war zones with United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. Taking a mindful pause, stopping for self-care, seemed like a luxury when literally people were dying all around me. My passion, my motivations to make a better world became the nail in my coffin. It's called burnout. It wasn't until years later that I realized that stopping to be fully present is the starting point to make a difference in the world. Mindfulness is key for any action that we want to take. Yes, we have to put that oxygen mask on first, but that's not enough when the systems that created the chaos in the first place are still dysfunctional. However, when we put that oxygen mask on, we can see the world differently. We listen more deeply, and we can see and we are aware that no one is wrong when we're looking for solutions together for our community. It's that discovery that led me to share my experience with other change makers, and that's how I met Sophie. Over the past 3 years, Sophie has taught me that young people are not future leaders. They already are leaders. Yeah, she taught me also that poetry is mindfulness. And mindfulness is poetry because it's all about feeling and sensing with our hearts, with our minds, with our bodies, what is happening right now. And from that place of right now, we can choose what actions we want to take rather than go back to a default mode. This young woman has been an incredible inspiration for me and has made my commitment to a more mindful New Mexico very, very solid.
Together with other members of our communities, we've begun to plant seeds for leagues of mindful mentorships by partnering youth leaders and entrepreneurs with successful conscious business leaders. We have decided to integrate the voice of the youth into the design and content of local and state and nationwide based mindfulness events. Yay!
I asked her to cup her hands, fill them to the brim with water, drink fast, listen. Listen to the sounds our city is making. Listen to the cracking of the thunder. She is telling you something. Move forward. Take the advice of the mesas, the piñons, the wild coyotes. They challenge you. Take your art, plant a seed, paint a picture, build a home with a kid who is aching to be engaged. Use your art to ignite unmistakable creativity and spread it wildly. I asked her what she thought of me. She said, take a breath, listen. I want to build a bridge. I want you to see how beautiful you look from this side.